Hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining today's virtual briefing session on the Hanns Seidel Foundation's global project for mitigation and adaptation to climate change, or in short, NET project. We are very excited to take this opportunity to reflect on the past year, highlight key achievements, and share our vision for the year ahead, for the year 2025. GMACC is committed to supporting you and all our partners and tackling climate change challenges worldwide. As a global initiative, our project aims at driving international collaboration, knowledge exchange, and practical solutions for climate mitigation and adaptation. My name is Lara Bier, and I'm honored to be your moderator and probably also presenter for today's session. And to officially open our event, it is my great pleasure to introduce Hanns Seidel, the head of division for fundamental issues at the Hanns Seidel Foundation, where our project is located in. Henning, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lara. Dear colleagues and partners from all over the globe, I may add, it is my pleasure to welcome you to this virtual briefing session, Reflect, Connect, Advance, GMACC's journey into 2025. For those of you I haven't had the chance to meet yet, as Lara said, my name is Hanns Seidel. I am the head of division for policy issues and the deputy director of the Institute of International Cooperation here at Hanns Seidel Foundation's headquarters in Munich. And since mid-2024, the main administration of our GMACC project has been relocated to us, to my department here, away from the division from Sub-Saharan Africa, as my department serves as the Institute's cross-cutting division, which I think aligns quite well with the project's purpose, considering the task of coordinating the respective regional activities into a global network. Today, we are coming together to review the key achievements and milestones of 2024, recognizing both our successes and the challenges we have encountered, and set the course for a successful year 2025. Through our project and the Think Global Sustainability Network, we have already strengthened our partnerships and advanced sustainable solutions across regions since that started in 2022. During the last year, we were able to streamline the project from 4 project objectives to just 2. This adjustment was made to align the project with the evolving global framework and to emphasize its international scope. And I think this was an important milestone that will help us strengthen the regional networks and their partner organizations in the key thematic areas, while at the same time focusing on the thematic intersections of the global network level. And as we look ahead, I think we should focus on further enhancing the thematic integration of our regional components. If we develop deeper connections and collaboration among our regional networks, we can ensure greater mutual learning, cohesiveness of the project, and replicability of best practices over the next years. So I take this session as an opportunity to gain valuable insights, assess progress, and align our strategic priorities for 2025. I encourage you all to engage actively, to share your perspectives, and to contribute to the discussions. Thanks again for joining us. And now I would like to hand over to my dear colleague Lara, to the moderator of the session. I'm looking forward to an insightful and productive session. Thank you very much. It is a pleasure getting to know all of you.
Thank you so much, Henning, for your welcoming remarks. And building on that, I would like to take a very brief moment to introduce today's agenda and guide you through what you can expect in the coming around 60 minutes. In today's session, you will get a brief overview of GMACC's structure and a review of our global activities with the highlights of 2024 and an outlook into the coming year. I will do that. This will then be followed by a review of our regional network activities and also an outlook on the regional level. First, Colister Mikhaili will talk about the Regional Sustainability Network, which is located in Sub-Saharan Africa. Second will be Adriana Mustafa presenting our Latin American activities. Third will be Bassam Suisi, who will speak about the MENA Regional Network on climate change. And thereafter, we will move to Asia with Michael Ziegner covering our regional activities in Southeast Asia. And finally, we will listen to Dr. Hyunai Choi presenting on the Central Asian Flyway Initiative in Northeast and Central Asia. And yeah, should you need any clarifications during the presentations, I would like to request you to please write your questions down in the meeting chat, and we will then make time to accommodate them after the presentations. Now, please bear with me a second so that I can share my screen, but first, Colister must stop screen sharing, please. Perfect. Right. So let us start with the structure of GMACC. As part of GMACC, we have created the Think Global Sustainability Network, which brings together the regional networks the HSF has initiated in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast Asia, Northeast and Central Asia, and the MENA region. And all these 5 regional networks have in common that they focus on critical climate areas, including agroforestry, circular economy, wetlands, environmental education, innovations, and new technologies and advocacy. So when looking at GMACC activities, we always must differentiate between global and regional activities. Global activities follow a cross-regional approach, bringing together partners from different regions on specific thematic key areas. For instance, last year's focus was on agroforestry and circular economy. And then we have the regional activities that are specifically tailored to regional and national needs. That is also the reason why all regional networks look into slightly different key climate themes, but not at all 6 project thematic key areas at the same time. On this slide, you get now an overview of the current coverage of our regional networks and thus also the global network. Latin America focuses on strengthening political advocacy for environmental challenges in the Amazon region. And in the Middle East and North Africa region, the MENA regional network on climate change is tackling major climate issues such as food and water resilience, carbon neutrality, biodiversity protection, and plastic pollution reduction. The Regional Sustainability Network in Sub-Saharan Africa currently brings together 13 member organizations from 12 sub-Saharan countries and fosters dialogue, knowledge sharing on climate change and environmental sustainability and energy. In Asia, we find 2 regional networks. One is the Ecoton program in Southeast Asia that promotes sustainable entrepreneurship across ASEAN countries and provides training, mentoring, and networking opportunities to startups and supporting the growth of green businesses in that region by doing so. Furthermore, the Central Asian Flyway Initiative is located in Northeast and Central Asia, and this initiative is dedicated to biodiversity conservation with a particular focus on migratory birds and habitat protection. Let me now move to our global activities and looking back at 2024. Last year, we launched a virtual masterclass series that aims at fostering dialogue and capacity building on our 6 key thematic areas of our project. Another focus was on the organization of conferences and delegation trips with cross-regional participation. For instance, delegation trips have been organized to the United Nations Summit of the Future in New York, the UNFCCC COP29 in Azerbaijan, or the ASEAN Circular Economy Forum, which took place in Bangkok. But GMACC also has supported travel costs to individual partners who will then be able to participate in the UNCCD COP16 in Saudi Arabia, for instance. One of the global highlights was the agroforestry conference with exhibition that we organized in Namibia, in Windhoek. And this conference brought together over 120 participants, including 16 network partners from Sub-Saharan Africa, North Africa, and Latin America. And we've discussed the potential of agroforestry in light of the pressing challenges of climate change in the Southern African region. But the program also not only included presentations by experts from the African region, it also included an engaging panel discussion at which 2 of our network members from Latin America and Sub-Saharan Africa shared also best practical examples from their regions. And at the sidelines of the conference, we also organized an exhibition. Another highlight of our global activities was certainly the delegation trip to the UNFCCC COP29, which took place in Baku in Azerbaijan at the end of last year. Aiming to enable partners to be heard at the international level, we've been able to send a global and a MENA delegation. And I think global delegation consisted of 15 participants, of which one group participated and observed the climate negotiations of the first week, and the other group of the second week of COP29. We also got the opportunity to organize one side event per week during COP29, and that side events have been dedicated to showcasing, together with our partners, with you who participated, our worldwide initiatives in the fields of climate, environment, and sustainability, and they have been also dedicated to fostering discussions on how to best form effective partnerships. For this year, for 2025, it is envisaged to further strengthen the cross-regional collaboration through a holistic approach and by providing online and in-person platforms. The virtual masterclass series will be continued and extended by the topic of IA tools, with the first session on IA starting already next week on Thursday. And I've already received many registrations for that, so shows your keen interest in that topic as well. Thank you for that. And we will also again see a delegation trip to the UNFCCC COP30 in Brazil. However, due to the geographical proximity, the delegation composition will most likely have a strong Latin American focus. Last but not least, a conference with cross-regional participation is envisaged to take place in Central Asia, and the subject of discussion will be the Central Asian Flyway, as our thematic key area of focus in this year is wetlands. By concluding this outlook on our global GMACC activities, I would like to hand over to Callista now, and would like to invite her to share her screen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Laura. Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. And I would like to take you through what we were able to achieve in 2024, and also give you shortly a brief overview of what we intend to do in 2025. So just to give you an introduction, in 2024, we had what we are calling the pilot projects, which we did in 3 countries. That was in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. We also had one masterclass, and we had the annual gathering. So my presentation will be mostly on pictorials. So we have a partner in Uganda we call the Northlight Green Services, and they did a project on saving the environment through alternative livelihoods. This project, we called it the SEAL project, whereby they were looking at bringing in an alternative source of livelihood as opposed to what the people of Uganda are currently doing, which is digging the soil for brick making and cutting down trees to make charcoal. So as you can see from the first 3 pictures, this is when they were setting up.
Sorry, Callista.
Yes, please.
The screen, please.
You can't see?
Please try again.
Not yet, Callista.
Oh, sorry for that.
Then let's make a break with the Regional Sustainability Network and its regional activities. And we'll move over to Adriana. Perfect, we can see your screen. And then, please, the floor is yours, Adriana.
Hi, everyone. So you can see my screen. You can see my presentation, right?
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Perfect. So you can hear me, I can see. So, well, good morning, everyone. Well, here in Latin America is early morning. So what I'm going to be doing today is talking about what have we been doing during 2024 in Bolivia and Colombia, and also to give a brief outlook of what we are trying to do in 2025. We are working on the Amazon region in both countries. We are targeting groups in the Amazon region mainly. So talking about the challenges that we have in the region, in the Amazon region, we have issues such as extractivism, deforestation, but also there is a lack of governmental control that translates into a lack of environmental regulations in the region. And the Amazon is a very important part for environmental challenges, so it's important to have some type of regulations, but this is one of the biggest issues. The target group we are aiming to work with, and what we have been working with, is grassroots organizations, indigenous communities that include women and youth, and also young environmental leaders. So talking a little bit about our objectives, we want to promote political advocacy at local level by supporting the active and informed participation of indigenous communities, including women, youth, grassroots organization, and youth leaders, as I said before. One of our specific objectives will be to strengthen the capacities of the target group by focusing in subjects such as climate and environmental policies. Also, indigenous rights are very important for the region, and international negotiation for them to be able to participate in international forums. So basically, this objective is related to strengthen the technical skills of the target group. The other objective, a specific objective, is related to promote the active participation of the target group. And this means engaging into active dialogue with the authorities in international forums, but also in local activities, forums, seminars is also very important for the project. So talking about the main activities for you to understand in a more concrete way what have we been doing. In Bolivia, we have been working with a partner that is called Fundación Renace, and during the year we have been establishing a series of seminars that make it possible for the creation of economic and productive municipal committees in 5 different municipalities. These committees are enacted by municipal laws, and once they are established, they can relate into a dialogue with municipal authorities. People that are part of these committees are mainly farmers that work with coffee, cacao, but also they work with tropical fruits. So it's in their best interest to dialogue with the municipal authorities for the preservation of the land, for promoting sustainable agriculture inside the municipal policy. So that's why this dialogue between them and the municipalities are very very important. So here on the picture, you can see one of the main committees, one of the first committees that were established in one of the municipality. The municipality is called Palos Blancos. This is all in Bolivia. Now, talking about what we have done in Colombia, we have worked with partner ClimaLab, and we have done a series of workshops and activities that are focused on climate change adaptation, biodiversity, conservation, ancestral knowledge, and sustainable farming practices. And this is all to increase awareness about the importance of preserving the Amazon and engaging, especially in Colombia, the target is youth leaders. So as you can see in this picture, there has been an event where 3 representatives of San Jose del Guaviare community have participated in the meeting of rural youth. And this happened between the 29 and 31 of August of last year. It was done in Ñuqui, Colombia, and it was a series of discussions of concrete actions for conservation before the COP16 that was also established and prepared in Colombia. So that's like the past. Now we're going to talk a little bit about what we're going to do in 2025, but the focus, the goal is still the same, promoting local political advocacy. And we are working in Colombia with ClimaLab. In Bolivia, we are starting to work with Plataforma Boliviana Frente al Cambio Climático. That is an organization that has a very long work, a lot of expertise with advocacy in COPs and in environmental challenges. The target group remains the same. We're going to keep working with indigenous communities, grassroots organization, youth leaders, and we are going to focus on capacity building, a series of seminars. They are going to be virtual, but also in-person seminars to talk different topics such as climate change negotiations, environmental and climate policies, human rights and climate change, indigenous rights and climate change. And also in Bolivia, we're going to have an important national conference that is going to happen with many civil society organizations that are important and are a reference here for climate issues. And they are going to be elaborating proposals for the national determined commitments before the COP30 that is going to be in Brazil. So as Lara said, the second part of our project towards the end of the year that is very, very important is having an active participation of a delegation in the COP in Brazil. The COP in Brazil is very, very important because it is viewed as a fundamental center to gather participation for developing countries, but also is going to be a platform to highlight the perspective of the developing countries, to promote regional cooperation, but also to advocate for more inclusive policies and global climate strategies that take into account indigenous knowledge and practices. So it's going to be very important for Latin America, the location of this year's COP. So for us, it's important that the COP has a very good chance for participants to emphasize the importance of protecting the Amazon rainforest, indigenous rights again are very important, but also for our participants to engage in networking with other climate activists, NGO, government representatives, but also international organizations. So to finish up, probably I am a little bit out of time, but this is the last slide. I'm going to talk about some of the risks and the challenges that we have in the region. It's important to understand that we have a lot of political instability and coordination gaps between what is the national government and what is the local government. And this translates into inconsistent or non-existent even environmental regulations in general, but especially in the Amazon region. And another risk that is very important to take into account and for you to know it is that the Amazon has a lot of conflicting interests between companies, government, and local communities, because government wants to promote economic growth with companies that want to extract resources from the Amazon, and communities are trying to avoid this, are trying to preserve the land because they live there, so they are trying to avoid degradation and their own displacement. So this is the contradictions between one actor and the other So that's it from my side. I try to explain very briefly what we did, what we're doing, and what we have to face. So if you have any questions, I think we'll talk at the end of the presentations, but that's it from my side, and thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Great. Thanks a lot, Adriana, for providing this very much detailed overview in such a short time of your Latin American activities, and also sharing some insights on risks and challenges you're facing in the Amazon region. Gives us a bit better understanding what you're dealing with. Now we move back to the Regional Sustainability Network, and Callista is ready to share.
You can see my screen now?
Yes, perfect.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much, and my apologies for that hitch. That was the reason I had prepared early enough, but things happen. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Like I'd mentioned earlier on, our approach was we had implementation of 3 pilot projects. One was in 2 are in Kenya. Actually, there were 4. When I mentioned the individual pilot projects, we had 2 in Kenya, we had 1 in Tanzania, and we had 1 in Uganda. So like I'd mentioned earlier on, we are having a serious challenge, particularly for Uganda, where the local community is engaged in digging down the ground to make bricks. And in the process, of course, they'll cut down the trees. So the approach that NGS used was what we call the SEAL project, where they're using an alternative to what is normal to the local community. So in this project, we did what we were calling a pilot project on dragon fruit. Like I'd mentioned earlier on, my presentation will be mostly using pictures. So the first photograph, you can see 2 people in red. They were actually doing the measurements before they when they were just starting to implement the pilot project. That is doing the measurements to know the spacing between one tree to the other and from one line to the other. The first, the second, and the third, they are very progressive in that order. So when we come to this other slide, you can see now everything is set, the ground is set, the poles have been installed, and the dragon fruits have actually been planted. So what we were doing is that we were planting 4 dragon plants in 1 pole. I am there with my colleague from Kenya. We have Jennifer, and we have the man who had come with the dragon fruit cuttings from Kenya because they had a problem. They could not get the cuttings from Uganda. And now the last, where my cursor is, this is now the current situation. We can see the trees are now fully grown. We are just waiting for the fruiting season. But there were challenges that came with this activity. There were mentioning that the project was quite labor intense, especially when it came to the initial stages when they were digging the ground, leveling, and doing backfilling, and doing the polling. So how they adapted to this project is that NGS had to bring in extra resources to facilitate where there were gaps. And the other challenge that they mentioned is that during the heavy rains, which happened in May and November of 2024, the trees were growing very rapidly. So there was need for frequent pruning, which was also quite labor intense. And then with the rain, of course, comes the challenge of rotting of vines. And they had to cut off the rotting vines. And of course, using some traditional methods, they mentioned that they were applying some ash in the affected parts. Jennifer will have to tell us whether this was actually working or not. Then also the challenge of when it is too hot, the vines were suffering from a lot of sunburns, which led to some of them withering out, and they also had to be, managed so that they don't all grow down. So because of this issue of too much temperature, the very high temperatures, NGS had to solicit for funds from different sources, and they were able to sink a borehole. So now their crops are well taken care of in terms of water. And they also face a challenge of some vines being stolen. They also had to intervene by putting up some barbed wires. Now for Kenya, we did a similar project with Fair Climate Network, where we also did a pilot project on dragon fruit. And our approach in this particular case was we first began by training, conducting a training of trainers. We realized that particularly when funds are limited, when we don't do training of trainers, when the funds are out, the sustainability of the project is highly compromised. So in the first photo, we were doing the TOT. The second one, we were actually in the fields where the dragon fruits were growing. Then you can see me here with a ready dragon fruit. And then after the TOT, we now began the community trainings, where we were organizing capacity buildings to train the community on the growing of dragon fruit, because we realize that a lot of times there's a challenge of people just using the natural resources that are becoming quite scarce, which is now the trees. They are cutting down the trees to make charcoal. And of course, when the trees are cut, the soil is left bare. There's a lot of soil erosion, and a lot of challenges come with this. But we also realize that when we are telling people to take care of the environment and we are not giving them an alternative, this one is not working very well. So we go to the next picture. This is now during the capacity building trainings for the community. I'm here with the cuttings as we had sourced them from the supplier. Then another photo of the trainers. The people you can see in green are the people that we capacity build to become the trainers of trainers. So these are the people that are in the community with the population. And when we gave out the cuttings, because everyone who attended the trainings was getting cuttings, the champions were getting at least over 10, because they were expected to set up backyard dragon fruit gardens. We are yet to see when we go there very soon. But I also did a planting, and you can see me there with my very big dragon fruit tree. This is what they shared from their current gardens, the champions. You can see the project is quite successful. But of course, even the people in Kenya mentioned the challenges of when it is very hot, the vines are withering. When it is too hot, the vines are rotting. So it's a project that needs a lot of monitoring. So now for Kenya, we also did a pilot project on black soldier fly farming. We realized that in Kenya, not just in Kenya, when it comes to agricultural practice, there's a lot of organic waste. So just to manage this organic waste, we thought of the black soldier fly, which thrives on organic waste, to convert this organic waste into larvae. No, the larvae converts the organic waste into frass, which is used for farming, whereby the product, we have the larvae that is produced by the black soldier fly, which can be added to animal feeds, and we have the frass that can be used in agriculture to increase the soil nutrients. This project was quite challenging because when we were implementing it, we thought it was going to be easy until we were given the land where we were to set it up. And we were given a land in a very sloppy area. So actually bringing it to the level which was required was quite tedious, but we managed. The first photo is when we were breaking the ground. And the second photo is when the setup is already complete. You can see there's a lot of difference. The first one it was very dry. And the second one, the black soldier fly cage is already complete and some crops are growing there. Now, this project is getting a lot of traction from the community. You can see we are receiving students from technical trainings to come and learn how the black soldier fly works. Now, it came with some challenges. The black soldier fly should have the place where the larvae live. But before that, we also needed to erect a larva cage. So for those of you who understand how black soldier fly, the farming happens, you need a larva cage. A larva cage is where the flies mate, and this is where they lay the eggs to make the process continuous. Now, because of lack of funds, we were not able to set up the larva cage. So this is a gap that we still have within the project. Now, what we have been doing is that we've been buying mature larvae to come and do the processing of the organic waste. The other challenge is that they also had problems with people interfering with the sites. So they had to look for a different source of funds to erect a fence. And the project, I don't know how many of you have interacted with the black soldier flies. And I would challenge you to just look into it, even if it's online. There is need for PPEs, protective clothing for the people who are working there, which we were not able to buy. So besides the pilot projects, those ones for Kenya and Uganda, we had a masterclass on environmental education and advocacy, where we were focusing majorly on carbon market trade. The masterclass came into, we had three speakers. And the first speaker just spoke about the introduction to the carbon markets from a global perspective. We had a second section where we talked about what is there for the carbon market trades, what is there for the global south. This one was, we had a speaker from Nigeria. And the third question was the legal aspect of carbon market trades from the perspective of Kenya. We were a bit biased because of the how easy it gets to get speakers. So we had two speakers from Kenya and we had one speaker from Nigeria. And then, of course, we had a Q&A session. We had another pilot project in Tanzania where they were looking at the integration of traditional weather forecasts and the scientific weather forecasts. We noted that there's a big gap between the forecast that we get from the mainstream, like the radio stations and the mainstream media, and what is happening on the ground. When the traditional weather forecasters give a prediction, it tends to be a bit more accurate than what we receive from the mainstream media information. So what we did is that we brought these two parties together so that they can harmonize their predictions to give the people of Tanzania a localized information that is going to affect their livelihoods. Particularly, we are talking about farmers, people who grow crops, and people who are livestock keepers. All these aspects are affected a lot by the information that is given, because if I'm a farmer, I grow crops. If I'm not getting accurate information, I will not grow the right crops, because if I know that the rain will be enough, then I can grow a crop that will require a lot of rain. If I'm given information that the rain will not be enough, then I can grow something that is going to be sustained by the little rain. So that is what Can Tanzania focused on. So it took a different approach. We had the project was implemented in 3 phases. So the first one is that we established and trained 3 traditional weather forecast committees. The second one was a capacity building workshop on the interpretation and utilization of climate service using scientific weather forecasts. And then we did the integration. And then the last phase was just a capacity building of the traditional, to strengthen the already established traditional weather forecasts. So these are some photos that were taken during the sessions. This one was on the first activity. This one was on the second activity. This one was on these two on the third activity. The challenges that were faced during this implementation is that the implementation of the project was supposed to go hand in hand with the rainy season. But because of when the funds were made available, some of the projects happened outside of the right season, though they still happened, it would have been more productive if the activities were implemented at the start of the rain season so that they can monitor and give accurate information based on the weather. Then we also had the Regional Sustainability Network. This one took place in Windhoek last year. And besides us, members from the Sub-Saharan Africa, we had also participants from Bolivia, Tunisia, and Morocco. So some of the key things that we share during this time is there is need for innovative strategies, collaborative efforts, and sharing information from the local perspective. We want to share what we are doing in our home countries with our partners, with our local community, so that we understand the challenges that each country is facing and be able to share success stories. So additionally, we had one of our members from Nigeria. That was their first time that we were meeting them, and we were officially able to onboard them. So you can see the photos here. This is when we had the annual meeting. This is the RR from Windhoek, Namibia. This is us during the conference. And this is when we were doing the official welcoming and onboarding of our new member from Nigeria. So our projection for 2025, we are looking at having one pilot project, and the country and the partner of implementation will be confirmed later because we are still receiving proposals. Then we'll have 2 master classes on environmental education and advocacy. This one we shall agree once the funds are available. That is from the second half of the year. And then we shall have the annual gathering here in Nairobi, tentatively between the 29th of September and the 2nd of October. And thank you very much for your time. That was what I had prepared for you.
Thank you very much, Callista, and sharing the insights in particular on this exciting pilot projects you have been implementing or supporting within the Regional Sustainability Network. And also thank you very much for pointing out the way how you how the cross-regional participation was practiced at the RSN annual gathering. This now takes us to the MENA Regional Network on Climate Change. And I would like to hand over to Bassem. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Lara. So I will share my presentation. So I guess you are seeing my presentation.
Perfect. We can see it.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. So hello, everyone. My name is Bassem Suisi. I'm the new RNCC MENA regional coordinator. So as you know, our RNCC is part of the global network, and we officially launched our MENA network on May 15th, 2024. So we organized a hybrid event that gathered all our partners and stakeholders in our 5 Hanns Seidel Foundation MENA offices in the region. So we are covering all North Africa and Middle East. We are trying to cover all the countries. So we are reaching the different stakeholders and partners in order to enhance and to make our network more bigger. One of the strategies in which we are working is building the capacities of our stakeholders and of our partners in the region. So we are organizing master classes. We started with the first master class that was led by the Hanns Seidel office in Tunisia on July 23rd. We tried to gather 2 thematics. The thematic of new digital media and climate changes, in order to see how we can use digital media and new AI in order to find solutions to the climate change effects and effects. Also, in the MENA region, we are using a participatory approach. So after many discussions and after many brainstormings with our partners and stakeholders, we decided to divide the different partners and experts in the region into four groups. We chose four thematics, the thematics that touch the different countries in our MENA region, and we tried to focus on four thematics. The first one is sustainable food and water system. The second one is realizing carbon neutrality. The third one is protecting biodiversity and ecosystem, and the fourth group is ending plastic pollution. So we chose these topics because these thematics are the main thematics that touch our countries in the MENA region, and we tried to gather the most important experts and stakeholders working in these thematics in the region, and we are organizing several working groups in order to bring some solutions and to bring some recommendations to the governments and to the different stakeholders working in the region. For example, today we had one of these working groups, and it was so fruitful because we presented in this working group one of the baseline studies that I will talk about. Also, we succeeded to organize a training and capacity building initiative between Palestine and Jordan. So it was a bilateral cooperation between the Palestinian authorities and the Jordanian authorities. So we organized a training program for the Palestinian Environment Police, Environment Quality Authority inspectors, and custom police at Ajloun Forest Reserve in Jordan. Ajloun Reserve in Jordan is one of the most important natural reserves in our region in Jordan. And after that, in the same month, we organized the MENA conference on biodiversity, and this MENA conference gathered the most important stakeholders working in the field of biodiversity in the MENA region. After organizing this MENA conference, we wrote a policy paper, and this policy paper gathered the main recommendations and the main keynotes taken during the conference. Also, as said by Lara, the MENA region and the stakeholders in the MENA region were part of the COP29. So we participated with two delegations, a delegation during the first week of the COP and another delegation during the second week of the COP. So you can see here some of our pictures. We participated also, we organized and be part of and was part of a side event organized in the Namibian pavilion with our colleagues from the global teams from Colombia and from Vietnam and from the MENA region. And we organized also during the second week a whole side event in the SDG pavilion for the MENA region, in which we tried to present the main experiences of the different stakeholders in the MENA region. Also, during 2024, we tried to participate in some key events in the region. So my previous colleague, the MENA RNCC regional coordinator, participated in the regional forum on NDCs 3.0 that was organized in Tunisia for the Middle East and North Africa countries. So after that, we prepared four baseline document. These four baseline documents were prepared in order to find some solutions and to understand this four thematics in the region. So now we are so happy that we have four good baseline studies, and we are organizing working groups in order to discuss the main points that these four studies put into life. So for our 2025 program, we are looking ahead to make more efforts in order to attract more stakeholders in the MENA region, and are making our all our efforts in order to enhance our work in the region. Also, we are preparing, we are working in order to put the relation and to make this relation between AI and climate change is more visible. So we are planning to organize a hackathon. In the next months, this hackathon will gather teams from the MENA region and from the global team also, because we are trying with Lara and the global team to put the MENA region stakeholders in relation with the global stakeholders in order to learn from the different experiences in the globe, and in order to take benefits of the different activities that Hanns Seidel is organizing in the different countries. Also, we are preparing our participation in the COP30 in Brazil. So for this year, also we are working in order to have some side events. We are trying to also put our stakeholders and our partners more visible in the COP in order to present their work in the region and to share their good experiences and good practices. Also, in the MENA region, we are doing our best in order to enhance the capacities of all our stakeholders, and we will organize some master trainings and some exchanges between the different countries in the MENA region in order to take benefits from the work that the different stakeholders are doing in the region. So this is all. Thank you so much.
Sorry for the delay. Thank you so much, Bassem. You just joined the GMACC team recently, but you have not been a foreigner to the project, as we have been working with you as a participant since the beginning on. And thanks a lot for sharing the approach you took in the MENA region, and focusing or presenting on the working groups you're working with. Let us move to Asia, and let's look into Southeast Asia and its activities. And I would like to hand over to Michael.
Yes, excellent. Thank you very much. My colleague Mai will share the screen with the presentation. Perfect. Thanks for all the presentations before. Very interesting to learn also actually more where your projects are. The reason why I'm presenting is because we are not so lucky that we have our own dedicated coordinator funded through the Think Global Sustainability Network. So we have to share the burden of working as a team to implement the project. And I can still not see the presentation, so maybe that will work now. So that is why I'm presenting very briefly, because I think we are here in Vietnam. It's already 8 p.m, so I will try to be short. The regional network in Southeast Asia as part of the Think Global Sustainability Network. The next slide, please. So what we are focusing on is two different topics that are, however, very closely connected to each other. The first issue is circular economy as a policy issue. And the second issue is very closely connected with circular economy, but that specifically focuses on startups with sustainable, innovative, and circular business models. So for those of you who are not very familiar with circular economy, very, very briefly, circular economy is basically a model that tries to keep resources in the economic loop as long as possible to basically facilitate recycling, reuse, and reduce waste by various by product design and other methods. In the context of our work with startups, we have one big flagship project. It's called the Ecoton project. That's short for Eco Entrepreneurs Marathon. This is actually a program that focuses on the one hand on coaching, mentoring, and trainings for sustainable startups. And that then culminates in a hackathon or in a competition where the best startups pitch their business ideas to a selected round of judges. And in the end, some of the winners of this series then get, on the one hand, get actually monetary prizes. That's the courtesy of our partner that we organized that with. Our partners come from Korea, so there is a monetary prize involved for the winners. But at the same time, we offer obviously the winners of these hackathons the opportunity to take part in our regional network meetings, in our meetings that we try to connect the startups with different investors, with policymakers, and basically being part of a broader community of like-minded innovators and sustainable business practitioners. So next slide, please. When you look at the next slide on the right, you can see a map. And Lara, sorry to say, but some of the countries were missing on your previous map. So that's good that we have that one here, because our network actually has grown quite a bit in the past years. So that includes, you can see most of the countries now in Southeast Asia, but you can also see, as I mentioned, Korea, South Korea there, because we organize these activities related to our startup activities and the Ecoton series together with a Korean partner that's called the SMEs Eco Innovation Center based in Seoul in Korea. Jumping to the highlights of 2024. So as part of the Ecoton series in 2024, we organized sustainable startup competitions and coaching and trainings in 5 different countries that included Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Malaysia, Philippines, and Vietnam. And as I said, so there are 2 components of it. One is related to training of trainers, where we train sustainable business experts who can then also share their knowledge working with different startups and different small early stage startups in their countries to develop their business models further and actually develop also their viability of their business cases and business ideas. And there's just actually one thing that we have in our startup network, Collister, when you mentioned the Black Soldier Fly, we actually do have quite a lot of Black Soldier Fly startups in our network. So maybe also we can connect in the future also how we can maybe collaborate and share some of our business cases in our network that actually are very successful in the context of Black Soldier Flies. Apart from that, last year there were 65 sustainable startups that we trained and that took part in our activities last year. And so this was actually, so as you can see in the map, there are different figures. It's quite small, but you might be able to see it when we share the slides. In each country, the network is growing every year by quite a lot of startups. So we actually are an ever expanding network. Apart from the Ecoton series, we organized 2 masterclasses. One of the masterclasses that happened online focused specifically on best cases in terms of circular economy startups, where I think some of you that Joshua and Long are also here in this call that shared from Vietnam and from Indonesia, shared their business cases during that masterclass. And we had one more masterclass that actually happened offline in Bangkok. And that masterclass was part of the so-called Global Roadmap Initiative for an Inclusive Circular Economy that we as Hanns Seidel Foundation and as Think Global Sustainability Network are part of, together with Chatham House, the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, and other partners. And this brings me to the regional and global networking events that we organized last year, because as Lara mentioned already, we were part or we organized 2 events or co-organized 2 events at the sidelines of the UN Summit for the Future in New York. And both of these events were actually directly connected to the Global Roadmap Initiative for an Inclusive Circular Economy, where we successfully managed to bring in the voices of our networks, the voices of sustainable startups and sustainable businesses on the ground into this global policy process focused on circular economy. We held 2 events also at the ASEAN Circular Economy Forum in Bangkok. There, one event was actually an official side event focusing on circular startups in ASEAN, and the other event was an internal Think Global Sustainability Network meeting, where we shared our best practices and I would say also in a sense providing a platform to getting to know each other in the context of circular economy, who and which regional network is focusing specifically on what in terms of circular economy. And that was actually one of the key highlights in this context last year, was because we were happy that we had all regional networks present in Bangkok. So this global representation of all networks was there in Bangkok, from Bolivia, from Tanzania, from Tunisia, of course from the ASEAN region, various attendees, but also from Uzbekistan and Central Asia. So we were really happy that we could include all partners there. And then finally, we had one, towards the end of the year in December, we had one dialogue platform meeting, again for circular startups in Singapore with the Nanyang Technological University, where we also again had one participant joining us from Tunisia. So we also tried to, again, to mainstream this sort of global collaboration into our regional networking. Next slide, please. Yeah, so you can see some of the highlights here. I mentioned basically all. So from the left top corner, that's our Ecoton project in Indonesia. In the middle, that's in Lao PDR. Then you can see the ASEAN Circular Economy Forum in Bangkok, this is only our delegation. So there were more than 800 people at the forum, and this is only our side event there in the photo. And the bottom photos that was in New York and in Singapore during our events there. Given time constraints, I'll make it short in terms of how our partners and our network actually works. Next slide, please. Because we are actually do work with a lot of partners in this context. I mentioned we work with a Korean partner in the overall implementation of the project, but in each country we have a strong civil society partner and a strong governmental partner, because the governmental partners are usually the line ministries working on circular economy and working on startup support. And that is important for us, obviously, because we want to have this dialogue platform that the lessons learned from startups and the experiences can be fed into policy discussions in the government arena. You can see the logos of the different partners, and you can also see on the bottom of the table how many startups and experts we coached and trained last year as part of our projects. And on the far right, you can see that as part of this international or global level of engagement on circular economy, we work very closely with Chatham House, with the WIS Academy for Nature, and the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. Last slide, please. For the outlook for 2025, obviously you saw that we are working in this context with many partners, so that means a lot of coordination is necessary. That means at this stage, also because of different sourcing of funding from the different partners, so each of the partners also provide co-funding. We have not yet a fully prepared timeline, but this is nothing new for us because this actually happens almost every year. So the actual implementation will start around July, August. And given obviously some funding challenges this year, we might need to look at pooling some of the activities or doing more online activities and less offline activities. There's one specific issue, however, that we are really looking into this year, and that is, in a sense, consolidating the existing startup network. and looking at ways to link up our successful startups with German and European companies and our chambers of commerce in the region for innovation and value chain partnerships. We were quite successful already in Vietnam for facilitating some of these partnerships, and we are hoping that we can continue that in the other countries. If you want to know more or read a little bit more, there is an article that we wrote on the general link between circular economy and the Sustainable Development Agenda. There's a link here if you're interested, and if you want to learn more about the global roadmap initiative for an inclusive circular economy, there's also one publication that our network and Hanns Seidel Foundation and I think Global Sustainability Network was strongly involved in, and that was actually led by Chatham House. So feel free to read up on that. Thank you very much, and I hope that we can, despite the slight delay, have a bit of more discussions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that presentation and also highlighting not only the Ecoton program, which might be new to most of our participants, but also highlighting the work you're doing on the circular economy and also highlighting or pointing out another cross-regional connection with the black soldier fly. Finally, I would like to introduce Dr. Hyuna Choi. Hyuna, are you ready? You're ready. Perfect. Then the floor is yours to talk about the Central Asian flyway.
Thank you, Lara, and a very good evening from the South Korea. My name is Hyuna, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will share our work on biodiversity conservation along the Central Asian Flyway, CAF, share our achievements, current project, and future plans. This project led by Dr. Zeliger from the Hanns Seidel Foundation Korea office. When we first considered working on the CAF, our major challenge was establishing network for climate and environmental collaboration. Based on our past experience in climate project, especially clean development mechanism in North Korea and biodiversity conservation on the Korean Peninsula, we found a way to contribute. The nature knows no borders. That's why we more focus on the cooperation with birds and the habitat protection. And notably, we are supporting the network like other colleagues in field where our expertise and established connections could be most effective as a delivery partner. We focus on our initiative for the CAF together with our existing relationships with conservation experts, including the government agencies from the Central Asia, and also the Korean Peninsula, and NGOs under our GMACC project. Our biodiversity conservation activities align with the flyways. Some already know about the flyways, but I want to introduce about the flyways shortly. In the world, there are 9 flyways, and there is a partnership except the CAF. So we want to focus on the CAF initiative and partnership. We want to support the Central Asia flyway, we call the CAF. To support biodiversity conservation along the CAF, we have committed to support the CAF initiatives and NGOs, including the researchers in CAF range countries, especially focus on the Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Mongolia to ensure their participation. And also conduct introductory research on flyway-related issues in collaboration with regional partners, such as tagging projects. We hosted a workshop at different levels, topical, habitat-based, and species focused to enhance conservation capacity. And connecting the CAF initiative to international organization conventions, such as the CMS and CBD, and NGOs for the future steps. Over past 2 years, like our other colleagues, we have made significant progress and result. We organized 5 major workshops and conferences on the CAF with key stakeholders. And also conducting the 3 small-scale research projects. We supported the project in Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan. And also we support hosting the 1 topical and 1 specific-focused workshop in Mongolia. We also participated in over 10 regional and international events to promote CAF awareness and engagement. We also holding the 2 virtual masterclasses to share knowledge and best practice along the CAF. Our workshops has provided valuable platforms for knowledge sharing and strategic discussions. It's some highlights I want to explain about that. It's our first step. We had opening workshop in Incheon in 2022, focusing on management of the flyways in Asia with key stakeholders from the CAF region. Especially we invited experts from the Wetlands International, and also we invited the local experts from the Central Asia countries. And then 2023 and 2024, we hosted several activities with our partners, and we participated in the major international events such as EAFP MOB and IUC and Goose specialist meetings, and also ornithology meetings of how we work together along the CAF. And we got some results from these events, especially our partner from the India, the Wildlife Institute of India, Dr. Kumar. He's a national regional coordinator for the IUC and SSC Goose Special Group. Also, Dr. Zaliga and me, we are member of the IUC and SSC Goose Special Group member, and we contribute to our result to the IUC and SSC group as well. And also, I want to emphasize our result, one of the big result. Our efforts culminated in a major milestone, the official initiation of the CAF initiatives at the CMS COP14 last year. We, Hanns Seidel Foundation Korea, especially could establish ourselves as a major facilitator of the CAF and work on flyways, which is reflected by the decision to the appointed HSF member of the CMS Flyway Working Group with the Flyway partners. From last year, we joined this group and we shared our knowledge, and we also delivered some important activities along the CAF region. It's our topical workshop, some kind of evidence report. You can check the later. I want to skip some part, and then also there's some activities, and also we especially support the research from Mongolia, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan. The tagging, maybe tagging issue is very important. How we recorded the birds, the route, and also habitat, how they last and breeding in the Central Asian flyway. We get some result, and we share the research part with them. It's just some scientific-based approach as well. And also we have a Central Asian Fly Walking Group activity together with our partners. We are a member of a conservation network as well. And as I mentioned, we have a virtual master classes or related to CAF activities. To further solidify CAF's role on the global stage, we have actively participated in the key events, including CMS Language Meeting, also IUCN Regional Conference in last year. And we also, our colleague already mentioned about the CBD COP last year in Cali, Colombia. We had several meetings with the stakeholders, also high-level decision makers, and we also had a network with our colleagues from the Colombia office as well. And other activities also we supported with our key stakeholders and our partners. When we attended this kind of meeting, we have a brief our session. We organize our side event, and also we shared our activities to the people. And establishing the CAF initiative has been a long process, while conservation discussions under the CMS have occurred over 2 decades. So most efforts were limited to regional or specific programs, but through our productive engagement, we have brought together key stakeholders and acted as a bridge between the conservation initiative, including CAF initiative, the flyways, western and eastern regions. As I mentioned, we became a major node along the CAF stakeholders. Our readership in this field has been acknowledged through the invitation coming activities, and also we get the invitation from the especially Uzbekistan government in the next 2 months related Asian Climate Summit, and also we got some invitation request from the IUCN Goose Special Group to hold the next Goose Special Group meeting in South Korea in 2016 or 2017. And we also plan to attend the coming event as well. So we have a plan in this year another species related workshop on the raptors in April with our partner, especially partner in Kyrgyzstan, Nature Foundation, and we'll organize international conference. It will be probably in the second half of the year. So we'll invite our partners as well, and then. We also thinking about the participation in the Lamsarcon with our partners, and we will apply our side event about the calf. How can we conserve the Central Asian flyway, the birds conservation, and also we also attended the EFP MOB in Philippines in coming November as well. We work for the birds conservation, but it's not only the birds issue. It's for the part. It's a part of the leaves in the Central Asia. The birds also ecosystem services. As you know, it provides food, also income, and the connection with nature. So we want to enhancing our network with birds and the Central Asian flyway conservation. However, ensuring the survival of migratory species requires a sustained international cooperation. That's why we work for more widely with the partners under the GMACC project. And under the GMACC project, we can extend our network, and we can work together, not only the research part and network part, and also the conservation programs. We can protect these kind of birds and biodiversity conservation, and also their habitat for the future generation. I hope we work together more. And once again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yuanei, for introducing the interesting flyway work you're doing there, headed from South Korea, introducing that to our other regional networks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the presentations have definitely shown the broad diversity of our GMACC project. And when talking about diversity, I mean diversity of topics, approaches, target / partner groups, and partner structures. And you simply cannot compare one regional network with another regional network. But this is, in my opinion, this is what makes GMACC so special. And I hope you are as excited as I am, looking forward to this year's activities and to what will come. There have been no questions in the chat during the presentations, but to not overstretch your time, because it's already very late in some parts of the world from where you are joining us. I would only allow a maximum of 3 questions. Are there any questions or very brief comments from your side? I see clapping hands. Because if not, I would like to wrap up our session for today. And I want to sincerely thank each of you for your time today, but also for your engagement and valuable contributions during the year, during the past year and the coming year, the engagements that will come, and your active participation and partnership, they are key to the success of this project. And looking ahead, we remain committed to expanding our impact, strengthening partnerships, and advancing capacity building for climate resilience. Thank you once again. Thank you so much for your participation, and we look forward to further discussions and engagements. Stay safe, and I hope to see you very soon.